Dorothy here at Done by Dorothy. We are here today and we're working on our first, I guess the first step in our Purple Paper Passion Altered File Folder Lapbook. That's a mouthful, so you'll just hear me call it my Purple Passion from now on. We're going to be working today, we're going to start out with sort of creating our bases. So for today, I have, these are actually cutting mats from the Dollar Tree. I find them great for using media on, paints, all that kind of stuff, just to protect my surface. Yeah, I could use a glass mat, but these are super easy to use. You get 2 of them for $1 at the Dollar Tree, so I love these. I have a full-size one, and then I also cut them in half and then just round my corners because I like the rounded corner look, and create a half one, and that's what I'm going to be using as my palette today. We're going to start with altering our envelopes and our file folders, adding our paints and our bases to that, as I like doing that from the get-go and having it done. Then we can go back through and change it later on. So I have my brayer. I've got, oh, this brush is so old, it's like wore off. 3/4 inch brush. I have a 1-inch brush. I have a toothbrush, my brayer again. I have, this is actually, I really like these if I'm doing a base. It adds a lot of, especially if you want a darker color. It's red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and a violet or a purple, whatever you want to call it. These are actually Crayola paint sticks. You can get them, I got mine at Walmart, but they were like in the section where your poster kits to make like science projects and that type of thing are. So they're to create like signs and posters and that type of thing. But I love the way that they sort of work, and you get a lot of dark, intense color without having to, that you can sort of cover up and Mod Podge from there to get different colors. So I'm using my purple one for that. I have some folk art. This is vintage white. It isn't a cream, it's a vintage white. I have apple barrel white satin acrylic. Let's see, I have Princess Purple in my apple bottom. Then I also have watercolor acrylic paint. There's purple and ultramarine, which is more of a blue, but it's very lavendery, so I want to make sure that I include that. And these are folk art watercolor acrylics. This has never been opened. It's a brand new bottle. So that is what I'm going to be using today. Of course, I've got paper towels to help clean up my mess. Oh, and I do have regular gesso. And I have new gesso I just made when we did our last DIY, and I will, in the links in the description box, I will put a link to our DIY gesso. This is acrylic gesso, Daler Rowney. I'm using this because I bought it and I just don't want it to go to waste. And it's older than my homemade stuff, so I'm trying to use it up. So I do have my gesso. I've got paper towels. I've got a cup with water. I have 2 of my cream file folders that I'm going to be using. And I have 3 of my envelopes. So that is where we're starting. And like I said, this may be several parts because there's sort of a lot of layers and things like that that go on. So I'm going to start with my envelopes. I dyed them. Once you dye them, they're pretty easier to get apart versus, when they're new and they're glued. But once they're dyed, that you can pull them apart pretty easy. You don't have to pull them apart. You can decorate them when they're fully put together. I sort of like decorating them because, when I get going, I'm going to have different color on this part than on this part. So I sort of like it because it defines the different flaps of the envelope better. And like I said, I like starting with my dark base. So like I've already prepped these, and I'm just putting random areas. Like this one, I literally just took around the edge. This one I did like this. This one I'm going to do some over here, and sort of maybe some down the middle. again, I'm just creating, a little bit of dark tone on them. And I do like going over on the flaps. I'm going to take this up into the middle like that. Maybe a little more right here, a little bit along the edge, right like that. Then I just grab my brush and just sort of slide it. As you smooth this down, this poster paint, it dries extremely fast. Like there's no smear in it. Some of it, like where I started there, it won't even move because it dries so fast. But again, don't use this if you're wanting to blend it into something. It's not going to work. But if you're just trying to add a darker tone, like on a base, like I'm doing, then go for it. Okay. A little piece over here. I'm going to try to keep up on my messes today so I don't have a huge mess when I get done. Okay, so that's just basically it for that dark color. Okay, so I'm going to start with my sort of some darker, some lighter. I'm going to, let's go in with our gesso. So I'm going to put a little bit of gesso over here. Let me try to scoot this over a little bit so maybe you can see a little bit better. I'm just going to turn over a little bit. There you go. That way you can sort of see what's going on. I'm going to go ahead and use the brush that I had. I was going to put a little bit on the edge. And again, I sort of like to be random on this. I like, to create, the altered layers with the mixed media. Mixed media is a blast. You can't make mistakes. Mixed media, you're pretty much just building it up. And, if it isn't what you like, then you can cover it up, which I absolutely love because, sometimes we do, make mistakes. I'm going to put some there that's a little bit darker. You're going, but why would you cover that up? Oh, I'm not. I'm lightening the layers underneath because I want some of the dark to show through, but not all of it. I want it to sort of mix and merge. And I'm going to put just some along the edge here. And again, I'm just randomly layering my layers up. And I'm only going to be doing one. No, I may do two, just crazy. And I like working sort of in segments. So I won't work all on one. I'll do like this. I have it on. So I'll pull it to the side, let it dry, and grab my next one. Because I already have it out. So why not use it and do it all at once? So this, I'm actually going to leave a lot of the dark. And I'm going to, and again, gesso dries pretty fast. So I'm not doing extremely heavy coats. So that helps. And remember, the heavier your coat of paint that you put on there, the longer it's going to take to dry. So just be prepared for that. So like by doing this, by the time I get the third one done and get back, most of my gesso is going to be dry. So it makes it a little easier to layer it up. And again, we're going to be doing our file folders too. Let's do this little edge down here. Just put a little white on there. And again, you can just randomly do this. This is going to be your base. Now you do want to remember, you took all the effort to dye this. So if you took all the effort to dye it, you don't want to cover it all up. So I do want some of that original envelope to be, displayed when I get done. And I think this one, I'm actually going to go right along the edge of the dark purple all the way around. Let's create a drastic color change there. Right like that. I'll put some over here. And again, there are no rights or wrongs. Just layer it up. And I'll just keep putting layers on. And we'll see what it turns out like. And then I've got some purple napkin we'll put on as our final. And then when our, we'll have that. done, I'm gonna try to extend this up a little bit, have it almost like a grassy edge to it. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna put that to the side. Grab the first one I worked on. And you can see most of our gesso has dried, so we have some different colors on there. So I'm going to pull out some of my antique white. And I want to use a different brush because I want a different color. So I think I'm going to use my 1-inch brush. It's more of a flatter, just sort of almost like a house painting brush. So it does have a different tone to it. It has more of a dry bristled look to it. And like here, it's a little heavy. So instead of brushing it, I'm actually going to lay this envelope over top of it and rub it. That's going to give me a more of a dried look. It's going to take away some of the paint and make it not as thick. But at the same time, it's going to give, that's really going to pick up on those brush strokes on that one. Hopefully you guys can see that. This brush picks up a lot of paint, so. And again, I have purple that I'm going to go over top this with, so. I really like the brush stroke look that it creates. Okay, then I'm going to grab this up again. Oh, let's lay it on there and go with it. And again, I'm just going to use that to pull the layer off. It's not going to pick up a lot, but it is going to get some streaks on there. And, you know, you'll create more of like a modded pattern on there. Okay, so I'm going to use that, but I want to use a tad bit of the aquamarine with it. And it is mixing an acrylic watercolor with an acrylic matte finish paint. So it will alter the color a little bit. And that's going to create like a very baby blue, but I'm not going to get rid of all the dark blue. I'm going to leave some of the dark blue and some of the light on there. I'm going to tap it out over here. And these I'm going to do tap marks because I sort of want it to create almost like, what is the word I'm going to look for? Almost like the lavender, the little lavender flowers. This is going to create like a small little, and you know, if you need more blue, pick up more blue. Put a little bit of blue on the top there. Just a little more. I'm going to mix this in up here at the top. So I have some dark blue. And I'm just going to go over here on these because I can pick all this up and get, you know, different intensity of my layers as I pick it up. And so you get that darker blue in there. Create some of the darker blue ones over here. It just gives it sort of a little lavender flower look to it. Move that over there. We'll do some up here at the top. I guess that's actually the bottom. Just a little bit on it. Just adds a little layer of color. Turn this around this way. And try to pick up a lot of that now into that blue color. And then if I have to go back through with a little more blue, which I want to do, just a wee bit more. And this stuff comes out really thick, so it's sort of some of that dark blue to come through there. So to create a little lavender field. Okay, then I'm going to come back through with some of the purple. And I'm just going to put it over here where the blue's at. Load my little brush up with blue. I'm going to sort of push it down a little bit because that creates more of a vertical look to it. So we got the little purple through there. So it looks like a little lavender field on there. So cute. And I'm going to pull them all over and put the purple through it. Not a lot, just a couple dabs here and there, just to add, that impression of purple being there. Let me pull this one down. And we'll do this one because this is mostly a blue. So the purple will add to it. Then when I already have the purple here, I'm going to go ahead and, add the purple because it is a different color purple than the other. So let's, smooth a little purple color on there. Not a lot, just a little here or there. Put something like that. Up there. Actually, I don't want it so straight over here, I think. I'm going to go through here and try to pick up some of this blue. It doesn't really come through a lot, but it does add a little bit of color difference in your purple. Sort of layers a different color on. And I know it's looking crazy, and you guys are probably going, what in the world? What a mess. That looks crazy. I promise. We will get it. It'll come out. Let's hold it there. So up here with some of it wiped down off there. Because you have to remember, we're going to be putting napkin over top of this too. But it will show through the napkin, so it'll be pretty amazing looking. Okay, I won't say amazing, but it will be pretty neat looking, I guess is a better word to use. So I'm just trying to add all my different layers. And I'm just brushing it on randomly here. This last one's sort of getting a little bit more. Trying to clean up my... So there's lots of different purples there. Okay, so I'm going to set this here so it can dry. And I actually think as far as my envelopes, that's where I'm going to leave them for right now. So I'm going to flip them over here so they can dry. Now I'm going to work on file folders. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead while this purple is wet, and I'm going to just throw some gesso down in there. Whoa, not that much. I went crazy with the gesso. Okay, so Let's mix. I have lots of gesso. So I'm just going to go ahead and put some purple in here. Oh, I want to use a different color purple. Some of this base purple in here. And we'll mix that in with the gesso too. Make sure I leave. So we've got that pretty purple gesso. That's a darker purple. My poor brush is going to be so full. My little palette over here is going to be all crazy looking when we get done. I'm going to put some of the blue over here. So I have some of the blue. So that lavender, cornflowery blue that lavender gets. So I have just sort of a nice floral arrangement here. And I'm going to pull my folders out. And I've got some regular gesso in the middle. So I've got a mix of colors. And I'm just going to randomly paint my folder. And I'm just going to go till I run out of this color, then switch to the next color and let them just sort of blend in. So I'm going to grab some of the purple. It's starting to run out. Oh, let me grab some of the antique linen. I didn't do any of it. I love the antique linen. It's so pretty. So I'll make some of the gesso with it and whiten it down just a little bit. So I'll come in with it, and it's got some purple over it. I'm just basically going to cover the yellowish color of my file folder. I don't want that yellow color there. I want the, random colors. There we go. So let's come in with just some white gesso. That's really going to tone up the difference between that cream. But it also has like a bluish purple cast to it because of where we mixed it. I'm going to come in with my other brush and grab just some white. I'm going to create a sort of a white line look towards here with just the white. So it doesn't have that cream tone to it. I don't care if it blends, but I'm just really just covering the folder. Plus, as this dries, it's going to give a nice, what is the word I want to? It's like a sealant. It's going to sort of seal the paper so you can paint and you can do whatever you want to on it, whatever you want on it. And this is going to take a little bit to dry. So when I get done doing this, I'm going to do this one folder. I may do the second one. It'll depend on, I probably won't do it on film, or on video, not film. Film's been gone for years. Because, and I do want some dark in here. So I'm going to come over here, not in the white, and lay some purple down because I want to grab just some dark purple. Because, purple passion, we want some plain old purple in there too. Let's just do this whole purple corner because this is going to have to dry. And you can create texture, dot it in there. I can come over here and dot it and sort of add some purple to the layer if I want. Sort of gives a faux lavender on there. Let me grab some blue. I love rigs of lavender. And we'll do this a couple different ways because like this I'm brushing, but mix some right in here, get some the baby blue color too. There we go. So it sort of creates like lavender bristles. And I can even grab some green with a liner and, do some lines through it, which are going to create even more of a lavender look. I know this, about down the middle will be my spine. So I'm going to go ahead and do some down here. Just sort of some lavender. Like I'm going to come through and grab some of the antique white. Mix it with the purple. Lighten that purple down. I got too much. Once you get too much paint in your brush, it's hard to do those little, because you're trying to create sort of that faux. And the more you dot it, the more. Just trying to add some of that blue in there, maybe a little white in there. Okay, so like this is really wet. So I'm going to let this dry. And I will be back in when it dries for the next one. And we'll go through all our other folder too. I'm going to do 2 file folders as a base. And again, I'm just trying to create a very pretty purpley color as a base. I'm just going to mix this, go ahead and blend this right in here. And I'll do some of the blue and the darker purple in there. It's fine with me. I love the different colors. So I'm going to let this sort of dry, flip it over, do the other side. I'm going to do the inside, but when I do the inside, I'm going to go about 2 inches in and around the top and down, because this is going to be my base folder. So we're going to actually end up, sealing it up for some pockets. So I only need basically this part up here to have paint on it. My other file folder, I'm going to do both insides and the outsides, because this is going to be used for a lot of my little flips and tucks and all of that kind of thing. So that I'm going to paint on both sides. And I will come back in as I'm doing that and we'll work on that. But I'm going to let this dry and I'll be back after that. Okay, so I'm back. I started on my file folder, the one that, we're going to do all 4 sides on. And like, here's how I did the first one. So let me sort of try to fold it and see if I can maybe move my camera back a little bit. See if I can get it up there where you can really see all of it. Okay, there you go. So yeah, so I've got this whole side done. So I'm going to flip over and do this side now. And I did this a little bit different. I didn't use a brush. I used my brayer and sort of mixed the colors together. And so I do have some different colors everywhere. So I'm just going to, I'm not going to put a lot. And just put a little drop here or there. Maybe 3 different little spots. That's of the dark purple. And I'm going to put some of the blue. And I'll start with this as a base because then I can add the white and the white will blend in and, lighten down my colors a little bit. Okay. Then I'm going to take the white. I'm sort of in between the colors. Add some white. And I do have a little bit of, it looks like I put a bunch on there, but it's really not as much as it looks. And then I'm going to put, just a dab or 2, just a dot or 2 of the cream. Not that much. I will, let me grab my rag and pull my brush out of my water here. I will grab some of that, transfer that over onto my sheet over here that I can run through as I need more color. And then I'm going to do a little bit of this color of purple. A I know I did a lot in the center there, but it's okay. It will all blend together. Okay. Now I've got my brayer. And I'm going to start by going this way. Just to sort of drag some of that color around and get it going a little bit. Sort of get some on my brayer. So it's going to start out, and it's going to look pretty crazy for a little bit until it blends in together. And if you don't have a brayer, if you have a silicone rolling pin, and I'm just going to go in different directions. And this is an older brayer, so every once in a while it does stick on me. So I'm just going to lightly be combing it across here. And the other side of you seen it was sort of really blended, and I don't want to blend this one out quite as much. So I'm sort of lifting up and moving. So I have some color patches through here. Whoops, not the desk. And I'm not gonna worry so much if the let me go over here and pick up some of this white, and so at least if my manila folder shows through, and I've got some purple on here too still, so. And I mean, this is really simple. And you can do it in different directions, so you don't have everything all in the same direction. I do want to pick up and try to cover down here where you got paint on it. It's wanting to stick here. It's going to overblend here. I have this area down here across the bottom where there's the, so I'm going to sort of try to run this down through there and try to get those filled in the best I can. I'm actually literally trying. Let me grab my brush. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and just pick up some paint. And I'm just going to use this to sort of dabble in where the cracks are, where the score lines are on the folder. You know, any place that I've got that bright cream showing through. Just sort of take away that bright yellowy color. Okay. Then I'm just going to run across there with the brayer to sort of mix it in a little bit. There we go. And I've got this color, this one covered. So now I need to let this set and dry. Then I'm going to cover the two sides on the inside just like I did that. Then I have the one back of the cover one, the very first file folder that we painted. And my envelopes are all dry, so we will work on envelopes tomorrow and get the napkins on the envelopes and get that done, and we'll fold and score our cover and get it glued up where we want to glue it up so we know how we want to manipulate it and get it all together. So we'll get that done and our napkins, and we'll start divvying these up to be dividers and all of that within our thing. Then we'll start working with our papers and our ephemera and get it all built up. So I wanted to come on at least show you how I do that. Again, if you don't have a brayer, anything that's a flat, round object, if you don't have one, you can actually take a roller out of the middle of a paper towel holder and roll it, and that will work too. Just about anything. Or if you don't have that, use a brush, and you can brush and mix it together, take the end and daub it like I was doing down here at the bottom to sort of mix it in together. So there's, lots of things you can do. Thanks for watching today. We will be back again tomorrow with our next one, and we'll do a little bit. We'll do additional layers, but it'll be after we add our designs and all that on it. once we get that done. But I've got these two sides to do, and the other side of my cover, and up inside the inside that'll show. And we will be back. And I may end up using this as my cover because it's the more muted tones, and use the ones that are sharper to use for my ephemera. I'll look at them once I get them both done and decide which one I'm going to use, and I'll show you that tomorrow. We'll decide that. So you guys have a great day, and we'll see you again next time. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe.